technology. Do that, pour it, perfect. Suddenly it's not so hot. Guys, I hope that nobody is offended by the fact that I smoke. I smoke like a chimney. I smoke possibly, I'd say, 100 of these a day, right? So this is a palm leaf. I take 2 of them. You do this, right? So this is a dried palm leaf. You do this, you roll up some, you put some Thai tobacco in there, right? And this is extremely healthy. Opens the mind, clears the head, and improves cardiovascular health. I don't know how, but this is what's happening to me. Okay. No sing, I know, Aries. Don't have. The thing for me with sing is it's too fizzy. It's kind of like a football match beer, you know, and I just like a slow boat, so I'm with the chai. Sound is much better. Let me do something here because I'm not seeing. Maybe next time find a place where there's less traffic and sounds in the background. Of course. This will all calm down during the course of the next hour. There might be some children running around, but I'm not. I won't change that now. Somebody is bringing me some food. Thank you very much, Kun Mai Ka. Mong ni tham video there. มี100 คนที่ขอบคุณมากครับ I'm just receiving some food. I will return to the conversation now. Thank you very much. ผมเดียวและมีคนมองนี่เข้าใจใช่คาเมรานี้และคนที่เขียนได้พูดครับผมต่างประเทศ international ใช่สามิลาบอกว่าต้องบอกว่าผมบอกว่าบอกทุกคน Kun Mai is asking me just to advertise her restaurant. When you come into Krabi, you can't miss it because this is the only road that comes in, and the name of the restaurant is Samila Thai restaurant, and they do some of the best southern food. Ching mai? Ching kap. Khop kun ma kap. So if I don't eat, if I don't drink, I'm gonna dehydrate. If I don't eat, I'm going to starve in front of you, so all of that's taken care of. I'll just do it surreptitiously, not like my friend Tone Bays, and dig into the delicious Thai food in front of everybody. Guys, I don't want to waste your time. I'm just spending some time getting into this. It's new to me. I'm absolutely live, and I've never done this before. I won't say that I'm nervous, it's just that I'm a little bit confused. You know, you kind of get bumblefucked because I had it all mapped out and people interrupt and there's, it's a moving target. I'm going to do my best, okay? We're not going to fall off the surfboard, we'll stay here. Khop kun krab, Thai food, good food. Yeah, Parlando. Hey, how are you doing? Michael can hear very clearly, thank you. Is there a crackling? I'll probably hear on the playback when I listen back to this recording later, but I believe there's a playback because I'll tell you guys a story. This laptop that I'm recording on is a Lenovo right now. I'm a big fan of the IBM ThinkPad. I think a lot of guys that do field work and travel with laptops a lot into the wilderness and to the beach and do field work like the ThinkPad, because it's got a time that before, about 10 years ago, they had a titanium body and they had really robust keys, and it was just a high quality laptop, man. Heavy as hell, but you know, it gets the job done. And I've been using one for 10 years, and it just hasn't got the chooch, the oomph anymore, right? So I bought this new Lenovo IdeaPad, but even though it's got the brand new AMD 7th generation processor, it's got some fancy graphics cards, you know, it's just not working with my Linux. And instead of having a mic input and a headphone input, it's got like a phone. You know, you can like plug a phone thing in, but then Linux doesn't understand. Pulse Audio on Linux, the audio system, cannot differentiate the external mic and the internal mic in that plug. So it's been a bit of a hackathon for me to get this working, but it's okay. But I'm definitely going to change laptops, man. I will keep this one, and it'll fulfill a function for sure, but it's all plastic, and the keyboard is like a remote control keys, you know, those kind of soft plastic. Nah, it's just not good enough. I thought I was getting a bargain, but it's, you know, you end up paying for buying cheap shit. Yeah. The start sounded like World War III. There's a soft constant beep. Yeah. This is coming from somewhere. Let me see if I can pull down some other levels. Maybe if I pull down the headphone, right? Because I'm not using it, right? So there's a soft constant beep. I think it's just digital. It's in there. It's not to do with the levels. No, the laptop cooler, it's not making a sound. Okay, the sun is going down. I'm starting to feel like more relaxed. I think by this time it's 5:15 my time, 10:15 universal time. We might as well get into it. Just to waste 5 more minutes. Okay, Michael, good. You seem to have fine ears, because you've been guiding me all along. Thank you, Michael. Wait, Palando is saying Ma put Thai nit noi. Yeah. Speak Thai a little bit. Okay. Yeah. So greetings, everybody. I know I've got some Thai guests. I don't know whether they're online, but they're probably going to watch the video after the fact. So to the Thai guests, sawadee krap. Great to be a guest in your country. Some of the best living I've done in my life. I don't know whether it's only Thailand or whether it's this phase of my life when it's Bitcoin and I'm in my 40s, and you know, when you cross over into your 40s from your 30s, there's some kind of clarity that dawns on you in terms of what you have to do and how you're going to get there, which has been fantastic. Yeah, Thailand, great people, great weather, great culture, great religion, great food, beautiful scenery. I love this place. You know that I'm South African by birth. I grew up in Cape Town, all over the country. I spent 10 years of my life living in London, working as a teacher in music technology, which is where I learned Linux. And then after that I moved back to South Africa and then to Thailand. And this is definitely the best living I've done. My circumstances suit me very well. Some people exploring here, I think you can hear that. Okay guys, spliff number 1. Right, so Smiley Anne's talking about durian. When the season comes, I'll show you guys and eat some. I think most of you know what it is. That is a delicious fruit, but some people hate it and some people love it. I'm one of the people who love it. Apparently it's one of the most healthy things you can eat, that and coconut. And durian, man, my opinion about durian is it's a fruit flavored like custard. It's just amazing. Guys, the price is busy dropping. It's been dropping since, it looks to me like about 6-7 UTC, right? When I mention times, it'll always be universal time. Otherwise, we're all going to get confused, right? If I talk in terms of Thai time or US time or Greenwich time, I'm going to talk about universal time with no daylight adjustment. Let's look at the charts, right? I'm going to not be able to see the screen share while we look at the chart. I will try and pull it up and then glance at it, but I'm going to suggest that you guys keep questions and comments until I show you my face and say, okay, let's talk to each other, right? Otherwise, I'm just going to, as it scrolls up, I'm going to miss a lot of stuff. Let's go to the charts. This is that, right? This is the chart we're looking at. This is 15 minutes. And you can see that yesterday when I got cold feet about this advance here, you know, even though there was a sell signal going up, I was like, guys, I'm just not seeing the momentum. You know, look at the 1 hour chart, because that's where our TR was drafted at. You see when it hit, I'm going to make the chart bigger. You see when it hit that 1 hour 100 MA, the orange line, and it didn't make it to the 1.618 extension, which was just there. I mean, it's not far. That is when I was like, no, something's wrong here. This is not advanced. This wave is not the bulls jumping back in, whether they're right or wrong. It's not the bulls jumping back in thinking, now into my mind, this wave that we're seeing here is profit taking off of this wave, right? We went in at this level because that's where we got a qualified signal, right? But there are people who must have gotten in much higher, right? And by the time it reached there, they had to take profit. That's a good place for those who missed out on the profit taking to take profit again. And you know, as short sellers take profit, or those people who had sold Bitcoin, say in Bitstamp, a non-leveraged exchange, you're up there in Bitstamp, right? You're selling to buy back lower. So where are you going to buy? At the 200 MA. So you don't need to be a short seller to buy and sell Bitcoin. This is profit taking, but it's not buying to rally. It's not buying on the anticipation that we're gonna go to new highs and this is, you know, the wave to 30,000. Otherwise it would have done it, you know, it would have been up here already. That's not a lot to ask, you know, 10,000, 11,000. That's totally in the realm of possibility, and it's reasonable, you know, for people to say, okay, this bottom's been struck. So my thought is, right, zooming out the 1 hour chart, that we're in one of these sideways consolidations like this one, like this one, like this one, which is a little mini version of it, that we're just going to go sideways and then go down again. Perhaps to hit 7,500 squarely, because no exchange hit it, or the major exchanges didn't hit it clear. And you can also see that there's a magnetic trend line drawn off of here. It's a technique I've described before. Basically what you do, right, you take a correction. This was a correction, then it starts coming down again and correct. So the 2 points there, you can even work with these, right, between there and there. And then at the highest point from there, you invert a line. So let me give you an example, right? It's going to be red lines. So check this out. You say go from there. Did I just let me just change this to a trend line. So from there to there, right? Alright, so we're from there to there, then we make another one from, you see, we connect those lows, we go to the top of there, right? And then we pull down. It's got to be at the top where we measured it from, right? And then across here, you're going to get a target. Now, obviously, this target drawn from here is not putting us anywhere significant, right? Other than this low here, I guess that's what it's pointing at. You see? That's kind of the region from this, right? And this works not every time, but quite consistently. So I did the same thing with these orange lines, right? And it's showing 7,500. Even less. It's showing 7,000. See now the chart, trading view sometimes, man. That projected low there is at 6,800. I believe we're going to see it. If we go below here, that is what we're going to see. Now I'll go to the larger time frame charts in a minute. I just wanted to start by saying that price is not moving out of this area. It might still end up here at 11,000 or 10,500. But if the market was like bullish, if that was like a low and everyone was like, that's wonderful, I think it would have gone there by yesterday already. And we're still not there. In fact, now we're going down, right? Looking at the 15-minute chart, right? That's a sell signal. Not a nice one, but we're back below the 15-minute 200 MA. So there's a lot of gravity operating on this trade. Now, those of you who are buy and holding are still in a 4-hour trade, and looking at the 4-hour chart, your trade is holding because your 20 MA is at 8,930, and the highest price we got here was it's been closed. It's been closed. Right. So the 4-hour trade has been closed for everybody. I will issue that as soon as we finish here. Okay, so to come back to my mug and the conversation. Guys, talk to me. I just said some things there that might upset people. There's a lot of comments on, especially on Twitter, where people are saying to me, where's the low? Is this the bounce? You know, yesterday and the day before's price action, they were like, is this the bounce? Are we now going back to advance? I didn't really get that thinking, man, because we don't know, you know. We don't know what price is going to do. We just follow the signals, right? And while there is a signal, while there is a 4-hour chart like this, let me show you that. While the 4-hour chart, scroll it out as much as I can, right? This is Bitstamp, right? I'm actually glad I'm so glad my Wi-Fi is working like this far from my desk. Right. So I'm scrolled out. I'm zoomed out of the 4-hour chart, and then just let that finish drawing. Right. right, let me smoke and drink. This here and this here and this price action here looks like this price action here because we're on a logarithmic chart. It's log scale from the bottom price looks bigger and the top and the higher prices look smaller. If we look at what it really is, right, there is no way that price is that the market is suddenly gonna buy price up several thousands of dollars, right, and start advancing to new highs. This rally, right, in my opinion, I mean, looking at the chart just objectively and honestly and not fooling myself, right, to me it looks like the rally is over. There isn't going to be another rally for a long time, right? So the mindset of buy and hold now is just going to make people lose sleep, become angry with Bitcoin, become demotivated in their lives. If you're going to buy and hold, if you're going to hold on to a coin that you bought at 7,000 or at 20,000, you in for several months of pain, right? And obviously, when we're in this kind of bearish condition, the correct mindset is not buy and hold, but sell to buy back, right? Because it's not just going to suddenly reverse and you're like, oh my goodness, I could have bought Bitcoin so much cheaper. No, you're still going to buy it cheaper than this, right? As we saw in the long-term analysis. Let me bring that up. The long-term analysis is that. Where is that long-term analysis now? Right? That we can go as low as 2,000 down there. Right? If this is a bull market and it's going to come, it's hit a significant level. Now it must go higher, and then it'll come down again, and then it'll go higher a little bit, and then it'll come down again over several months, and eventually you're going to be at 2,000, right? And if you're a buy and holder, you're just going to forget about Bitcoin. You say, oh well, one day, and the public's going to forget about Bitcoin, and the mainstream's going to forget about Bitcoin, and all of this hype about UBS and this bank and that central bank using blockchain, they're all going to forget about it. It's all going to disappear, right? Because it's all nonsense anyway. All of that blockchain technology nonsense and central bank, it's nonsense. The blockchain is Bitcoin. It's the only blockchain that matters, right? You don't need to put property on Bitcoin or register births on a blockchain, or you can just put it in a database, right? A database can be backed up, right? So if somebody hacks it or changes data, you just compare it to the backup, and you say, well, no, that's not what our contract agreed, right? Like in healthcare or government tenders, you say, what was the contract? This is not what's in the database. You don't need a blockchain that's mined by the entire world, right, by anyone and everyone, to have a means of secure record keeping, right? The entire point of Bitcoin is that it's decentralized. You don't need to decentralize government records. You just need them to be transparent, right? You just need for government to do proper reporting, and therefore there to be civil auditors checking government and the central bank. But the central bank putting their cryptocurrency, their crypto dollar on a blockchain, there is no way that they're going to open that for mining by the entire world, right? That anyone can mine their coin, because that's just going to open up an attack vector, because people don't like the central banks and they know it. And massive crime and massive fraud will happen when they expose their blockchain to the entire world to mine. That is when you're going to see mining cartels and 51% attacks. They can't do it, and they don't need to do it, right? They can. The dollar is already digital. They don't need it to be a cryptocurrency. because they track it through your bank, right? Bitcoin is the blockchain. And when everybody has forgotten about the blockchain hype, right? Maybe in the middle of this year or at the end of this year going into 2019, and Lightning is working for us people who know about Bitcoin, right? And we know that Lightning is the future and it's going to be deployed widely. That is when the public and the latecomers are going to suddenly realize, oh my God, this thing is amazing. Bitcoin hasn't got a scaling problem anymore. The fees aren't expensive anymore, right? Things they don't understand now, they're going to just still not understand it, but just see that the fees aren't expensive and Bitcoin has been rallying to 10,000 again, right? And they'll probably catch on to it when it makes a new top at 20,000. And by that time, we would have bought down here and lower, right? So this is not a time for thinking about a rally. This is a time for thinking about accumulating Bitcoin. Boy, I must tell you guys, it's really weird just talking and talking and talking with no feedback from anybody, because I'm not looking at the live chat. It wasn't a bottom, says Michael. We need to get strongly above 9. Yeah, 10,000 is the one, guys. For the same reason that Tone Base says, and him and I absolutely agreed about it when we met. I was like, Tone, why did Bitcoin, how is it possible that Bitcoin just sliced through 10,000 like a knife through hot butter without pausing, without correcting? It just sliced right through, and the next stop was 11,000. Then it didn't even properly make it back to 10,000 for long enough, and then we were at 18,000. It was absolute madness. So because 10,000 is a major psychological number, we will spend the time below it now, you see. And when we break 10,000 next week or next month or next year, that'll be a major moment, right? I don't deny that it's possible that Bitcoin can rally now. I mean, the market is irrational, right? People are still hyped, and the indicators and the MAs tell me that we're in a bear market, but I'm not going to stick to it like a religion, right? If the MAs change, if the indications change and show me that the market is exuberant and crazy, yeah, then let's go with that. Okay, DIDJ, what does that mean? Is that like Didge? Dundalis, I got in like a month ago. I'm just trying to learn this stuff. This is great info, because a lot of people are saying we're going to bounce right back to new highs. When you're heavy in Bitcoin, and when you've been in a bullish mindset for 2 years while Bitcoin has been going up, surely you would think that, right? You would say, no, we're just going to bounce again now, whatever. But my point is, look at that, right? Look at it. Be honest with yourself. Is there a moment for a bounce, and then we're gonna do all of this again from here? No, it's got to be, even this wave up, right? There was massive momentum already. People were buying like nobody's business out of fear of losing out. Remember, a commodity doesn't go up because people are saying, oh, this is a sensible investment. Commodities go up because people are pouring in out of fear and greed, right? Unfortunately, this is the kind of market we're in, and where we make our rational decisions, right, is down here in the valley. Down here is where we make our investment, and this is where we sell. This is where you reap the rewards, right? But a lot of people, of course, they are latecomers, and I don't laugh at them, I don't blame them, I don't resent them. but a lot of people joined here because that's when they happened to hear about Bitcoin. And as far as you understand, this thing is going to go up forever, right? This thing is going to go up to incredible. People were saying 100,000 and a million. I mean, what's that nonsense that McAfee said? You know, people get crazy. The one piece of good news I can say, right, so we say down here in the valley, right, that's like 200 down there. This price here has got a limit how low it can go, and I showed that in the analysis, in the long-term analysis, and I'm going to pull it up here again. Even if we measure Bitcoin, right, so we're looking at this chart, right, can I make it bigger by doing this? Yeah. Even if we measure Bitcoin from 0 to this top at 20,000, right, this isn't even 20,000, it's like 19,600 or whatever it was. But if I did it yesterday, if I measure a fib tool from 0 to 20,000, the 89% retracement still falls above $1,000. So to my mind, between $1,000 and $2,000 is the lowest that Bitcoin can go. If it spikes below there, it will very quickly return to $1,000 or $2,000, to above $1,000 or $2,000. I cannot say this because I can see the future. I'm just saying that technically this is what's written in the chart, and I'm going to leave some cash in reserve to buy at 1,000 and 2,000, right? I'm not going to buy at 7,000, right? I'm just going to hold the Bitcoins that I have here at 7,500 or 9,000. I'm just holding the Bitcoins I have. If it goes higher, I want to see. I want to wait. I don't want to buy more Bitcoins. I don't want to go long aggressively because we're in a bear market. If it goes higher, it just means that if I get a signal from higher up, I've got more contracts with which to short. Right? The game now is shorting and waiting for the lows and selling on the highs. When you get a sell signal, you sell some Bitcoins, right? 4 hour, 1 day kind of signals that are sell signals. You sell Bitcoin, you know, to buy back lower, and we're systematically going to go lower and lower. Now, if we should get a 4 hour buy signal, let me see if I can go back. If we get a 4 hour buy signal, as these green arrows show, right? That's a 4 hour buy signal. That's a 4 hour buy signal. Buying here, right? Most of what you bought there is going to be retraced before you even get a sell signal. So it's totally worth it, and you don't lose anything. You lose a little bit, but what you lose in profit, you gain in peace of mind when you enter here above the 200 MA on a full MA signal in the 4 hour chart. MACD crosses above 0, bang, you're in, and you can see advance even accelerates. Whereas here it was choppy, here it just moves, right? And it gets you up there. And then you take profit up here because you got a sell signal, right? You might have taken profit there on a dynamic stop loss. But that's a lot of price movement, man. That's what we got there is like a third of the wave. The same applies to this one. Once we're above the 200 MA buy signal, MACD crosses above 0, bang, it runs, right? Here again. We might not have gotten in at that point, but at this point, right, when the blue MA crossed above the orange MA, when 50 crossed above 100, look at that run, right? So for us to get in again, thinking that it's a rally, in other words, this kind of sell signal or this kind of sell signal, we've got to get back above 12,500. Now, can the market do that? It can't even get above 10,000, man. It's struggling to get above 10,000. That's pitiful. That's a shame. That shows you the bearish momentum. I want to see your comments again. How do I do that? Aha. Tone Vase says he's worried about 1300, says it needs filling. I don't know exactly why. Michael, probably for the reason I just told you, that a large rally tends to correct to, let me show my face now. Why must you guys not see my face? See the man who's talking to you, whether I'm being honest or whether I'm lying, right? Where is that now? How do I do this? Guys, a large rally, you can look back in the Bitcoin chart, 2010, 2011. Every time there's a large rally, it tends to correct between 50 and 89% of that rally can be retraced. So if, as I just explained, if price can go to from 0 to 20,000 and all of that gets retraced, right? That brings you back to $1,000. The move from $200 to $19,600, right? Which has been the last rally. If all of that retraces to 89%, then you've got price at $2,000, right? If it retraces to 50%, right? Let me show you that. If it retraces to only 50%, well, that's not going to happen because, let me come back now. Let me just find my bearings here. We're already, if we're thinking of a retracement of this entire rally from 200 to 19,600, we're already below 50%. We hit 0.618, so 62% retracement already. And it's possible that eventually we go down to 0.89 to almost 90% retracement at 2,000. If this correction is much, much bigger, if it's correcting everything since the beginning of Bitcoin, right? If it's correcting everything since the beginning of Bitcoin, so from 0 cents to $19,600, right? Then 90% retracements are 1,000. Does that explain it, Michael? It's possible. And it's not going to happen in straight line. It's not going to be there next week. It's not going to be there in a month from now. There's going to be a lot of up and down shenanigans before we hit the bottom. And at the bottom, everybody will be absolutely bearish in Bitcoin. They'll even have forgotten about Bitcoin. Most of them, the mainstream media won't talk about it. Most of these analysts now, you see the whole YouTube is full of analysts. You see the way the whole YouTube is full of analysts, man. I mean, I saw some analysis and I checked it out. A young punk, right? A young boy of about 22 years old drawing two lines on the Bitcoin chart saying, well, everything's okay because when we hit this bottom line, then it's time to start advancing again. And he's been doing this for about a month and he's got 30,000 followers. He's got 30,000 followers, right? And he's just talking nonsense, right? He gets these analytical terms wrong. He comes to completely wrong conclusions. He misinterprets the indicators. All of this FUD, all of this, not FUD, all of this fluff and fizz and bubbles and too many people with an opinion and too much mainstream interest where Bitcoin is not their business. Bitcoin is a cure to their disease, right? All of these people into Bitcoin, it's just going to disappear, and that's the time you know that Bitcoin has hit the bottom, right? Because this is unnatural that people should be so interested in something that they don't even understand. I mean, Bitcoin is there for, is not a store of value as most people say. It's not a store of value. Right now it's not a store of value. It's gonna, if it goes to 2,000, it's not a store of value. It's a speculative instrument. It makes you money in cycles, right? But if you hold it for 50 years, right, it might be in a bear market at year 50. It might have been at a bull market high of $100,000, right, at year 49, and at year 50, when you want to withdraw it and cash out because you've now been a diligent holder for 50 years, at year 50, it might be at $10,000 again, right? Because it goes up and down. It's a speculative instrument. So why people are interested in the speculative instrument, I do understand. But why people are interested in something that is actually meant to circumvent the state, that is anti-state, and they've got no clue that they, you know, that they're using hard drugs, and you know, that they're painting an AK-47 on their forehead, and they just, you know, it's Bitcoin is pretty, it's got orange and white logo. This is dangerous stuff, you know. It's an anti-state weapon. It's for privacy against the state. And if the state stopped doing them cutting out cash and persecuting people for spending money outside of their supervision, you wouldn't need Bitcoin. Bitcoin would be irrelevant, because then you can just have your wad of cash and give it to a guy on the border, and he can carry it across the border, and everyone's paid, and you've got your goods and he's got his money, and no problem. But now, you know, they want to spy, they want to tax, they want to survey, they want to do everything. And I want to give my money to my family. So am I going to put it through their bank and get taxed on that? No, I'm not. I'm going to send it with Bitcoin, and they're going to cash it out with somebody we know in our country that does OTC. Right, so sorry for my rant. I had to just make that clear. I think a lot of my writing has already made clear that I'm quite radical in my stance in terms of Bitcoin. If ordinary people with good intentions and law-abiding citizens like me want to use it as a speculative instrument, or to do whatever with, right, for the thrill of this technology, that's also okay. Nothing stops anybody from using it. But I think there's a majority of people who are into Bitcoin who have got no clue what it gets them involved in down the line, right? Because there are companies who specialize in tracking your identity and connecting it to transactions on the blockchain, right? Why are they doing that? They wouldn't do it if there wasn't a market for it, right? And there is a market for it. Let me look at some of your questions while I show my mug. Yeah, everyone's a trading expert nowadays. You know, every guy with a webcam and a YouTube channel. By the way, man, this upset me a little bit. Let me see if I can find this for you. Search YouTube for cryptocurrents. Right, I noticed that this morning. Cryptocurrents, right? Check this out. First of all, let me do this. You search YouTube for cryptocurrencies. First of all, you see there I type cryptocurrencies. It says results for cryptocurrency. Search instead for cryptocurrents. Yeah, that's what I asked for. Right. There's me. Right. There's us. It still doesn't. Did you mean cryptocurrency? Look at this. Intro to cryptocurrents. Cryptocurrents. Cryptocurrents, right? Cryptocurrents. 3 subscribers, right? That's no shame. That's nothing to be hung about. But I reported this guy to YouTube, man, and I wrote him a stiff letter saying, dude, I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years longer than you. You show up in November 2017 at the top of the flippin' rally, right? He joined YouTube in November 15, 2017, right? And calls himself Cryptocurrents. He didn't do due diligence. So I said to him, you and I are going to resolve this, because if you don't, you're going to lose for sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what am I going to do, but the guy's not going to get the hits, right? And I reported him for impersonation to YouTube already. Right. So let me see your questions there. Yeah, some guys draw their trend lines wrongly. I was just planning to send money to my parents the same ways. Yeah, you got to send. Bitcoin is good for that. Bitcoin is good for that, especially now that the fees are low, right? MJ asked me, do I have any idea how high it's going to go before it drops again? If it can get above 10,000, that will be an initial positive development, right? But as I explained on the 4-hour chart just now, I'm not going to re-explain it all, guys, don't worry about that. I just wanted to show MJ. MJ, if you look at the long-term analysis published yesterday for February, right? It should have been January, but I waited for this low to speak with more confidence, right? MJ, if you go right to the bottom of the page, right, the 4-hour chart shows you when we will buy, when there's a chance of a rally. Until price doesn't go above this 200 MA, there's no chance of a rally. If it goes above the 200 MA and we get a buy signal, right, then it can go to 30,000 before it drops again. It can go to 50,000, go to 100,000. But right now, that is just a dream and a fantasy. There's no technical analysis or reason to believe that, right? If anybody tells you that kind of stuff, man, they're just talking nonsense. They're just one of those like Peter Schiff, or, you know, one of those people that run a hedge fund, or there's some mainstream economist, and then they just talk, you know, they just talk. So-and-so from this investment bank says that it can go to 120,000 by the summer. He doesn't know. How can he say that looking at this chart, right? There's just no way of telling. So right now, being below the 200 MA, we're not thinking about advance. It's the wrong time to think about advance, right? That's like, sorry. That's like when you wake up in the morning thinking about going to sleep tonight. No, that's the wrong time. When is the time to go down? You got to change your mindset to going down and not think about the up, right? Because look, even here, price goes above the 200 MA, the 4-hour 200 MA, right? And even there, based on this principle of the green arrows here, these MA signals right there, we could have said, okay, now we're going for 30,000. I might even have said it, right? But by the fact that we had A, B, C, and then another A, B, C, I knew, okay, 5 waves, and then things are going to get difficult because there was also another MA at another time frame that was blocking advance here, right? So there we might have gotten slightly bullish and like started twitching a little bit with the buying muscles, but look what's happened since. So even if we get above the 200 MA again, that doesn't mean that we will or we must advance. It can drop once again, right? I've not even discussed the 1-day chart, because look at that. As soon as we cross below the 1-day 200 MA, we drop out of the bottom of the channel of advance, and then it's going to get ugly, man. But I believe we're first going to get a an advance back towards the previous top. Maybe MJ, this point is something you're referring to. I'm saying that we could go to 18,600, just below the previous top, right? And then smash down in the next wave, like what happened here. I mean, most people in 2014 thought that this was the return, and the majority of the market bought right at that black arrow, right up there, right? And the majority of the market bought right up there when it peaked, when it just peaked above that 200 MA, right? There's another example. Massive decline. Comes up, you're like, woohoo, this is the moment to buy, you know. And then it slams down even harder. So, yeah, we have to be absolutely clear about what's going on. The chances of advance at this stage are just a dream in a mirror seen through smoke, right? We're not advancing, guys. We're not advancing. We will know we're advancing when price is back above 12,500. That is a long time away. That is a long time away. I want to see your questions while you look at my mug, and maybe I can answer you. Here I can see Tone Vase is kind of arrogant the way he talks, but it's clear he's one of the few on YouTube that knows what he's talking about. Tone is a great guy. Tone Vase is extremely intelligent. Tone Vase talks like that in conversation. I was at several dinners and bars and things with Tone. Whoever asks him a question gets that kind of talk. That's just who he is. It's not that he's arrogant, it's that he is confident about what he knows. And he knows he's an expert on Bitcoin, right? And I would not describe him as arrogant, because in person, when it's one-on-one, me and Tone swimming or walking on the beach, he's a very humble guy. And he knows how to admit when he's wrong, and he knows how to ask questions about things he doesn't understand. That is a sign of somebody with humility, right? MJ, do you have any idea how high we're? Also, Ven, I know other blockchains are not your thing, but do you believe a bear market to sub 2,000 Bitcoin will also drag? Yes, it will drag all of them down. By the principle, I cannot say for sure. Maybe there's one that shoots up, you know, one that gets pumped. Maybe BCH, what's that thing called? Bitcoin Cash does really well because of some pumping. I don't know. But the principle is that a rising tide lifts all boats. So by the same metaphor, a falling tide drops all boats. The level of everything must go down, because Bitcoin is the king and the flagship, right? Bitcoin is the flagship. What Bitcoin does, the other cryptocurrencies are bound to follow.ใช่ทุกอย่างดีครับ The Bitcoin, the Buddha said, the Buddha said, observe the reality as it is, not what you want it to be. Yeah. What time frame was the MA with the arrows? That was 4 hours, Smiley Ann. MJ, sure. Boomer, back with the feeds on the ground. When you say long time until 12,000, a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, possibly a year. We don't know, right? Remember what I'm doing, MJ. When I'm talking to you, right? It's not because I see something that you don't see. I see everything that we're looking at the same chart, but I'm looking at the MAs, right? So, to give you an example, let me quickly do this, right? It's not because I have future goggles or because I have special gifts. No, it's just that I've got a method of interpreting price movement, right? I look at trend. A guy like Tone Vase is telling you the next move, right, based on an indicator. He's doing seminars about how to trade, how to read the chart, the candles, the indicators, this and that. My game is not that. My game is this. I tell you how to interpret trend. That is my speciality, long-term trend. So let me give you an example, right? You see at this point in the one-day chart, you see right there price and all the one-day MAs crossed above the one-day 200 MA, right? After being below it for like 7 or 8 months, maybe a year, right? That there is a signal of trend change, right there. This here is a signal of trend change. Trend had already changed, right? Trend had already changed, but we were only sure, we only put a massive bet on it at this point. Trend had already changed from this low, right? But we only put a massive bet on it for the long term from there. And the chart kept on telling us, your trend has indeed changed, because the 200 MA was supporting price, bang, bang. Eventually the 200 MA was no longer doing it, it became the 100 MA, right? And so when we go below here, right, that will be the equivalent of here. And I'm saying that we can go below and come back to this, to test it. But that's not 12,000, that's 7,500, right, or 7,600. For price to come out of a dive like this, right, like it did here, even when it pushed higher here, we only got the one day, proper one day, fully formed buy signal over there. You see that level? It's more than halfway up the correction, right? Halfway up the correction here is about 12,500, right? So for price to get back there, right, look how long that took. That was 6 months, right? From there to there. That was almost 6, I believe it was 4 months, and to there 6 months to that dip. That's 4 months recovery time there. We might see this and another wave up before the real correction sets in, right? But for now, we don't know. We just don't know. Honestly, I mean, if we look at this doesn't look so bad, right? But if we look at the one-day chart and we see the true size of this, right? We change from the log, the log scale view, which is it's misleading, man. It's misleading. You'd swear that, you know, this is just another or little correction before we go higher, like this. You know, it's something like this. Okay, we bounce and then eventually we're going to go higher. Even if price were to do this, right? This was August of 2016. By the time price started advancing again, really, right, was October. That's 2 months later. Right? By the time we started like getting to thinking about, oh, we're going to push to a new high, that was in November. So 3 months from now, we might get a signal to the upside, right? Judging by the way that Bitcoin is historically played out. The earliest I'd say is 3 months from now, we might be thinking about a buy signal. But if we drop below this 200 moving average, 200-day moving average, boy, there's no way we're going to think about advance, man. That's going to... So, obviously, all right, let me just say what I said again with my eyes, right? When you're in a bear market, it's not about crying for the days of the bull market. It's about being brutally honest and saying, this is the opportunity of a bear market. We don't get them often. What is the opportunity of a bear market? You're not thinking about buying and watching your investment appreciate, right? You're paying attention to where the low might be, right? And you start hoping for the lows, and you start mentally preparing yourself to buy at the lows, right? Not thinking about, oh, I wish it was advancing, but you're saying, where am I planning to strategically buy on the way down, right? And where am I going to sell when we get these upward rebounds? This is a different mindset from buy and hold, saying, I'm going to buy, then I'm going to sit, I'm going to sit on it and wait, and I'm going to just pray that it keeps going up, and then when it's up there, then it falls, because you're never in the mindset to sell, right? You got to sell. Bitcoin is for buying and selling, right? Somebody who tells you must hold forever, that is just nonsense. It's because they don't know how to read trend. We know how to read trend. I'm teaching it to you. You are paying me money to teach you how to read trend. And clearly, I know how to read trend, right? I might be wrong here and there. We might get a false signal here and there. But I know how to read trend. I'm 100% confident with that in the long term. And I'm teaching you that. So use this opportunity to sell your Bitcoins high and buy them back lower, and then to sell again on the next lower high, and to buy back at the lower low. But advance now, my friends and my members, this is the wrong time. Don't think about advance. It's over. The rally has finished. It's played out. The people who were going to make money on the rally have done it, right? And a lot of people bought right up there at the top, unfortunately. And if you're one of them, I'm not mocking you. I'm not saying you're one of those people who sit on. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is, there is a mentality out there. Don't buy into it, right? Bitcoin is not for holding forever. This is a stupid thing. Buy and hold is we use the terminology because it means that we're all buy and holders. At the bottom we buy, and then we carry on holding until we start seeing us nearing a top. When we get a sell signal, we sell up there, right? So I call that buy and holding. But the Reddit, the popular meme of hodling, that it's going down, but I'm gonna keep the faith and just keep hodling. No, that is not sensible. That is not sensible investment strategy. That shows a complete lack of understanding of markets and speculation. It shows cowardice in the face of the task of having to learn how to read a chart. You got to learn to read the chart, interpret trend, and then act, right? Life, you're not just going to buy something and then sit on it until one day it turns into a butterfly, right? It might just be a piece of poop that you found on the road, right? And somebody sells you a piece of poop for $50,000 or $5,000 and says, this is the chrysalis butterfly. One day it's going to turn into the most beautiful butterfly that you've ever seen, right? And it's going to reward you. You must just sit and hold it. And it's a piece of poop, right? Bitcoin becomes valuable to you when you use it, and when you sell it. When you sell it to buy back cheaper, because you want to make more and more and more Bitcoin, so that when it's time for rallying, the year or two that it takes to rally, you start taking profit. That's the time when you spend and put your money into projects and things that you've been planning to buy, and expand your house and all of that. But during the bear market, you don't dream about those things. You focus on the task at hand, which is to accumulate Bitcoin, to get rid of those Bitcoins that you do have, like hot potatoes, like they're burning your hand. You want to get rid of them so that you can buy cheaper. Now, my service and these sell signals that I post out, these trade recommendations, are opportunities to get rid of your Bitcoin, right? Not to give it to anybody in specific, but to have the cash to buy again lower. You never want to get rid of all your Bitcoins. You want to do 50-50 at every juncture where we're not sure, like right now. You want to be 50-50. But as soon as it goes down, you wanna sell your Bitcoin when price goes down further. You wanna sell your Bitcoin, right? And then down there buy Bitcoin again, because we don't know where the bottom is. Right? Right? Does it make sense? Smiley, I know. Going above the 200 MA doesn't mean anything. It's when we get buy signals from up there. First at the 4 hour, at the 1 day, and at the 1 week, right? So all these larger time frames have to play along, and this will always happen. Boy, it's hot. I'm reading what you're saying, guys. Aries, you got to read that before you do any of the trade recommendations, right? You've got to read everything on the site, because you've got to come into the right orientation. There's no way that I can make a single page and say, this is the thinking, this is the mindset, this is the approach, this is what's wrong with that approach, this is how all this MA method works. There's no way that I can put it in one succinct bubble. If there was like a speed learning, if I could like send out a chip to all of you, like a fast learning chip, like in the Matrix, you know, you learn jiu-jitsu in 10 minutes, download it and do it. If I could do that with everything on the site, I would. But unfortunately, it's just a self-study. You've got to go on there and start reading and read everything, right? There's nothing there that's irrelevant. And whenever you've got a problem or a question or a conceptual difficulty or whatever, you contact me on the website or in the comments, write something or send me an email. I've never refused anybody communication. Boomer, you're out. Yeah. Parlando, yes. Sure. It's very bearish, man. People are in denial. You know, that's why I believe it's possible to go to 18,000, because there's that fib up there that we traded towards, right? When we passed 11,500 or 12,000, whatever that was, and we were like, okay, the next target's 18,600, and we traded to it. I believe that psychologically the market is still hung up on that fib, and they're going to try it again. They're gonna make a B wave to 18,600, and a lot of people are going to buy again up there, right? And the pain is just going to be worse, right? Because people are in denial. They don't want Bitcoin to go down, right? So what I always tell people is, okay, Bitcoin shouldn't go down, right? You breathe in and don't breathe out. Breathe in, carry on breathing in, and don't breathe out, right? For the next day. Only breathe in. You're going to die, right? It's not natural for something not to, if whatever expands must contract. right? And this is the time of contraction. It's obvious. After all the drama, after all the hype, after all the mainstream pouring in, now Bitcoin has reached that massive global consciousness. Everyone knows about it. It's been the scaling debate has been solved. Bitcoin is perfect, as perfect as it can be. Everything is fine, and then the market crashes, right? That means that it's that phase of development, that growth, that expansion of Bitcoin to this new bigger thing is over, right? Doesn't mean Bitcoin is less now. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin is now not that big thing. It's still that big thing, but the money about it has been made, right? So to me this makes obvious sense, right? I don't blame anybody else who doesn't see it, and maybe I shouldn't get so excited explaining it, right? Trying to explain it. I don't want to scare anybody to think, Benzin's gonna rip me apart and tear into me for not understanding. It's just that my explanation of it is passionate because I love Bitcoin so much, and I find this speculation around its price exhilarating. I mean, there's no other asset, no other commodity that's ever done this. I wonder if I should drink some more chang or if I should just eat this food. Boomer, sleep well, dude. Sleep well. Have a little bit of Bitcoin. Boomer, because if it suddenly reverses right here at the 200 MA and goes up, right? What are we gonna? You don't want to be left empty-handed, right? If your government or my government or government bans Bitcoin tomorrow at dawn, right, and you're not holding Bitcoin, then suddenly it's very difficult to get hold of it. You just want to hold a little bit, right? Not even if it's not 50%. Never go too much that way or too much that way. Just have some Bitcoin and some fiat. But now in a downtrend, you want to be bulk fiat. Sure, good idea. MJ says, good news, it could make it to 18,000. Oh, because you want to exit, right? No, don't worry about that. No, you don't have to exit at 18,000. If you bought at 19,000, you're hoping that you could exit closer to there. Well, maybe you could. And I hope for you that it'll happen like that, because it'll be good for me as a short trader if Bitcoin goes to 18,600, because up there I would be able to short once again for the second time and make Bitcoin on the way down, right? So the higher it goes, the better for me, right? But to be honest, shorting Bitcoin is more profitable the lower the price goes. In other words, shorting from 18,000 is not as lucrative as shorting from 10,000. It's not as lucrative as shorting from 5,000. As a short trader, you want it to be as low as possible, because that's where you make the most money. Even when you go long from those levels, it just multiplies your Bitcoin more. Which is another reason why this rally was not sustainable, why it got stupid, right? Because as I wrote in an advisory a few weeks or a month ago, it actually became impossible for leveraged traders to trade Bitcoin. Once it crossed 10,000, your risk was so much, your reward is so small at those levels, the liquidity is just not there. So it's like short traders were like, okay, well, now I'm just going to wait. And then I'm going to hit this thing on the way down, right? And it's a cycle like the foxes and the rabbits, The short traders the leverage traders create most of the volume. They feel entitled to trade this market up and down. And when they're not happy, they become angry and they start thinking about shorting, right? So that is not my sentiment, but I know it's out there because I speak with several short traders, and they're like, "Are you trading? Are you trading with leverage?" You know, when it was like 15,000, I was like, "Man, I am, but I'm losing. Every move I make is stopped out, you know, and sometimes the stop losses fail." It was just a nightmare. Yeah. Oh yeah. Aries is saying that it went to 17 on that bull trap, 17,000. So maybe there isn't another 18,000 move. Don't. You're probably right, but I would say don't discount the mania of crowds. Don't discount the foolishness of the herd, right? People will do very amazing things, irrational things. The longs on Bitfinex are going up rapidly. Is that denial? Yeah, possibly. Possibly. Bitfinex is constantly higher. It's like, you know, I don't know what's going on at that exchange, man. Dallas. I have maybe 20% BTC, resting fiat of my crypto allocation at the moment. Here at the 200 MA, you should probably be 50-50 would make more sense. And then once it goes below the 200 day moving average with a confirmed sell signal, that's when you want to go 20 BTC and the rest fiat. Dallas, just in terms of, you know, we are gamblers. We are speculating on Bitcoin. This is gambling, but it's we don't call it gambling, but it is gambling because we're taking bets on direction and distance. And in terms of gambling law, the games of chance, you wanna go aggressively in a direction when there's a signal in that direction. Right now we don't have a signal. Right now the market's telling us unsure. We're bouncing on top of this 200-day moving average. It's best to be careful and be 50-50 in case it flings up. You know, there's Boomer just saying the longs at Bitfinex are building. You know, these bulls want to stampede. They're tired of the downtrend. They think it's time to buy, right? They think it's time to buy, but given an opportunity the last 2 days, they haven't bought, but they might do it soon, right? Let's look at the price a little bit closer. 4 hour in the Bitstamp chart. I'm going to put it on log, and I'm going to put on I'm going to put a log scale and put back those many annotations I got on there down to 1 hour. Let me share. A, B, C, D, E. $15-minute. A, B, C, D, E. Then the correction is over. Otherwise, another interpretation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? That's the first wave of advance. Right? 1, A, B, C. So this is 1, 2, 3. 4 will be up here. It'll retest this 1 week. And then 5 could blast to 18,000. if it can get past this trend line, because this trend line, the magenta trend line up there, is this one. From the, oh, it's not in log. That's wrong. You see, if price can get through there, then we might retest this. I can see all of this happening, but right now we just don't have the signals. I mean, it's not possible to say it's going to go there, then it's going to go there, then there, then there, then no. We could go back into decline tonight. There's nothing in the chart that makes that that says it won't happen or it will happen. We simply have to wait for the signal, right? We simply have to wait for the signal. I'm reading what Kent Morgan is saying. I want to easily be able to buy BTC again. Okay, so you mean once you're in the exchange, you want to be able to flip between between Bitcoin and the yeah, understood. Guys, I use I don't use, I've got a Bitfinex account, but I don't use them. I'm scared of that exchange, man. I don't know what's going on there. I've always been scared of them. I use OKCoin. I'm slowly but surely losing the fever for the flavor with OKCoin. I'm slowly but surely, OKCoin has got issues sometimes. You can't, their chart doesn't update. Suddenly their order book freezes. You place an order and then for 2 hours they're offline, and then you when they come back online, you've been stopped out in the order because you never got a chance to put a stop loss, right? That is bad. That's happened to me numerous times in the last year. And it's happening with more and more frequency. Not that I'm getting stopped out, that they lose connectivity. I only got stopped out due to their error once. I got liquidated because of their error. The exchange I'm leaning towards is BitMEX. But I want to warn all of you against BitMEX, because BitMEX is dangerous in the sense that they've got a leverage slider that's like really prominent on their screen. And they're constantly inviting you to increase your margin on a position, right? Okay, so if you're in a lucrative position, in a profitable position, and it's time to increase your margin or your position size, or you want to increase your leverage, that would be an appropriate time to do it. But most people just don't have the patience or the discipline to do it, and I think that BitMEX are naughty. They're really naughty for doing that, because it sucks people, it feeds on people's greed and inexperience, right? Yeah. BTC markets, you can't short. If you don't have experience shorting, don't short. You have a buy at 700 and it's a quarter of the entire buy side. Now you don't want to trade there. You don't want to trade there. That is too little. You want to trade in a market where you're constantly seeing orders the size of your position in the order book, right? Otherwise, so when it comes to adverse market, when there's suddenly a reversal or you want to get out of position, you want the liquidity to be there. You don't want to then start, wondering where's the liquidity, or close your position and it runs $100 or $1,000 before it's been filled. That's terrible. Yeah, BitMEX is only BTC. But BitMEX is for leverage trade, longing and shorting, right? So you put your trading funds in BitMEX, and you put your what I call buy and hold and sell to buy funds in an exchange that where you can easily flip between US dollar and Bitcoin, right? Yeah, you don't trade those. You make those adjustments once a month or once every 3 months according to the signals in the chart. But as for trading, if you're in BitMEX and it's only BTC, it means you're making BTC, you're being delivered, it's a futures market, so you're being delivered Bitcoin. On long trades, you're being delivered Bitcoin on short trades, right? So you're making Bitcoin and not US dollar. That to me makes more sense anyway. Michael, you're saying your strategy is to buy the low and hold for the entire bonds. Great strategy, but how do you know what's the low? Right, that's the question. You can hear Tone Base say this morning that, okay guys, the low is in, the bottom is in, right? But me knowing Tone and me knowing the way that analysts talk, he didn't say, he didn't specify that for now the low is in, the bottom is in. But nobody can fault him, because he didn't say, and now it's advanced to a new high. He didn't say that. He just said the bottom is in. He meant for that wave. If it goes to a new low tomorrow, he's going to say, okay, it's a new wave of decline, right? He's gonna have something ready to say. He's going to say, okay, so that the low was in on Saturday or on Friday, and then price corrected. Now we're going to new lows. You got to understand that we don't know where the low is. You only know where the buy signal is. That you can see the low in hindsight, but you can see the buy signal in real time, right? Hindsight, you can see all the lows and highs, right? You can Elliott wave count it and draw fancy charts and map it out perfectly what happened during the entire bear cycle and during the entire bull cycle. But with a live market, right, you don't know where the low is, right? You don't know. But what I'm saying to you guys is, with the MA method, you know where the buy signal and the sell signal is, right? So the objective, I mean, you can try, but the objectives I'm trying to teach you is, don't worry about the highs and lows. That's impossible. Why make your life difficult and try and time the highs and lows when you can just trade the buy and sell signals in between? You still get a majority of the wave, right? You get at least a half or a third. That's a lot, man. Given the consistency of these calls, not because I'm a genius, just because the MAs show you momentum and trend, right? And that's why I haven't bought since the December high. Yeah, it's probably my internet connection. It goes up and down. Now it's cooling down, so there's a bit of a breeze coming up. It might rattle some leaves and make the connection less good. Okay, so we've been going for an hour and 38 minutes. I don't know if you guys are still up for this. If you want to ask me specific questions relating to anything, absolutely anything. If you want more analysis, if there's something you want me to explain about price right now, or about the long-term analysis I presented yesterday, go ahead. I'm all ears. Go on, guys, fire away. If you're not okay, we will just keep our positions for now and wait for buy and sell signals. Now Aries wants to get some beer. Guys, don't misunderstand me with beer. Yes, I drink beer, and you'll see me drink beer a lot for all time. You know that we're interacting here. But these cars. Lucky I put that thing there. I had to run a piece of metal across the road. There's a small road just behind me to a car wash down here, and it's a gravel road. So I had to run an electric cable across it. So I thought, well, some car is going to cross it, and then potentially cut the wire and the electricity. So I taped it to a piece of metal. And the cars have been driving across it. It's completely bent. But the wire is holding, which was the idea. Kent, can I speak? Before I answer your question, Kent, beer. I drink a lot of beer, but this is half beer, half water, right? Because I fill the glass with ice, I mean absolutely to the top, and then I pour beer in, and then when I've drunk it half, the ice is already melted, right? Then I put more ice and top it up with beer, so it's constantly diluted beer. It's not that I'm drinking an entire bottle of Chang. It's like I'm drinking a liter of water and a liter of Chang. That's different from just drinking beer with no other beverage, with no other hydration, right? Ken, you asked me, can I speak fluent Thai? No, I can speak conversational Thai. I probably know about 20% of the words in the language, but if I go to a shop or to a government office or to the airport, or I'm in the street or in a market, I can speak everything that needs to be spoken and get where I need, do what I need to do. So I'm conversational, but my Thai is probably not is not where I would like it to be. I would like to speak business Thai. I would like to speak formal Thai. Which I cannot yet do, but I go to school to learn. Yeah. Aries, don't drink and trade, definitely, but there's no trade. Yeah, there's no trade, right? Dandalis is asking me if I want to increase my BTC holdings from 20% to 50%, do you recommend just buying right now, since it could go either way tomorrow, or look at a specific price? Dandalis, here's how we do it, right? Everything, absolutely everything we do on a signal, right? I'm going to run you through it and help you make that decision, and anybody who's listening will benefit from this explanation, right? Okay, check this out. In the chart, one day, right? Take off the annotations. The time to sell when you're 20 BTC, 80% fiat allocation would make sense, is when price declines below here, right? Now, price declining below there is not a signal, right? We have to go to a smaller time frame. I go to the 4 hour. you can see that there was a 4-hour signal there. There was a 4-hour signal there. Not a very nice one. We stopped out of this one quickly, I believe. There was a 4-hour signal here. Not very clear, but I believe we did catch that wave. There was another 4-hour signal here, but that was a terrible trade because it would have stopped out quickly. And there was a 4-hour signal here, exactly where we got in, right? We got in on the 4-hour signal, but it was at a correction. But great, we got in, right? Right. So there's no 4-hour signal imminent. So we have to go to a smaller time frame again. Right. Recently, there was a 1-hour signal there, right? But we didn't take it because it happened above the 200 period moving average. Now, unfortunately for us, that would have been a perfect entry. We would have made double the money on the way down, right? But we just couldn't take it. I just didn't have the confidence to go against the method, to say, guys, you know what, my spidey sense is telling me this is the one, right? Because this 1-hour sell signal faked out below the 200 period moving average. This one was difficult, below the 200 period moving average. This one was wonderful, below the 200 period moving average, right? We made money there, right? This was a 1-hour signal, but not well formed, but it was confirmed by a 15-minute signal, right? But we'd already gotten in right here, thanks to your Uncle Bumblefuck Venzen, right? We got in right there because I was a scaredy pants. I was trying to be too cautious, and you know, a little fart escaped when I realized it was going into correction, right? But we made our money, right? We made our money on the way down. This one, the gods smiled on us and we made our money. Right now, there is no signal, but there could be a signal. This here can be interpreted as a 1-hour buy signal, but look how far below the 200 period moving average. We want to take a 1-hour buy signal on that side of the 200 period moving average. When the 200 period moving average is busy moving up, that's when we want to take a buy signal above it in the 1-hour time frame, right? It looks like this could be doing some stuff sideways, like sideways stuff, right? Sideways stuff. And then drop down on a 1-hour buy signal, and that's the time when your allocation would already be perfect. 20% BTC, 80% fear, right? That's perhaps a bit too aggressive. That, you know, I'm always with like 25% cash reserves. BTC is good, but you know, if you want to go that aggressive, fine. But for now, you're okay. The time that you want to go to 50-50, right? The time that you want to go to 50-50 from your current allocation is when we get a 1-hour buy signal. So it should have been there, right? But here we are back at that level again.